Oh, hi there, everybody.
Barney the Dinosaur has a history spanning over 30 years as a stuffed toy that springs to life whenever he's needed.
Sure wish you'd hurry up and grow big and tall.
Whoa, is this big and tall enough, Sean?
Something so iconic that even the simple sight of one of the plush dolls from the show to an everyday person will spark some sense of nostalgia. However, show any casual person a photo of this, and you may run into some brief confusion. Barney began in 1988, and there are numerous videos currently on the channel speaking about the history of this franchise that'll be linked in the description, but what we'll be discussing here is one of the strangest cases in this character's lifetime and the mystery behind its disappearance.
Thank you, Buck. Barney, where are you?
The original Barney plush doll first appeared in the home video The Backyard Show, released in 1988 as part of the Barney and the Backyard Gang series. Although prominently mentioned in the theme song that Barney the Dinosaur is a character derived from the imagination of children, the fact that the production crew, the Lions Group, needed a toy to represent the new character in the video series seemed to slip past everyone's mind. So much so that the doll that came to be was only done so just a few weeks before filming officially began. Jamie Ruth Connor, a woman with a background in puppetry, would take on the task, her contributions to the franchise only truly coming to light over the past few years. Jamie not only built the first plush for screen use, but put on paper Barney the Dinosaur's finalized design as a whole and oversaw its production by the Irene Corey production crew.
Barney! He's back!
In just 2 days, Jamie was able to trace out patterns and construct the Barney plush, bringing it to completion right in time for the home video series to make its mark.
Look what I found! Barney the Dinosaur! I'm going to put him right here so he can watch our show.
The 1988 doll for Barney the Dinosaur is often remarked for its unusual appearance, especially in comparison to what would come much later in the franchise. Succeeding plush dolls would take their own liberties while maintaining a straightforward resemblance to their costume variants. However, the 1988 Barney doll is strikingly different than even its full-body counterpart. In over 30 years, the 1988 doll remains the only one of its kind in a variety of fascinating ways. It remains the only plush doll used in the franchise to feature the T-Rex fingers that Barney became well known for. Because he's a T-Rex. It also remains the only doll used on screen to not show Barney's teeth in any way. Instead would be a pink piece of fabric, in a strange way meant to represent both a smile while also referencing the tongue that the Barney costume would have at the time. Barney stands straight up, as opposed to the crouching position that would eventually become a mainstay. The most fascinating set of liberties taken all lie in the face. Interestingly, the facial structure of Barney's doll form in no way resembles that of his fully realized self, coming to more of a cone shape rather than a fully fleshed out head.
These chickens?
Yeah.
No. My father got...
What about your dimple?
Can we get over this?
His eyelids also appear to be that of a standard purple, as opposed to the deep purple used throughout the doll's body as well as the costume itself. The eyes, placed on both sides of his head, have a vintage look, even for the time, with lush eyelashes. And for the only time, when Barney would wink at the camera at the end of the videos, he would do so by closing his eye as you would expect, done so with digital frames drawn over top of the footage. The Barney series following would replace this with a sparkle added instead. We could go on and on with the distinct details of this design, the round black nostrils, the green soles underneath the feet. This iteration of Barney stands out in so many ways even today. I also want you to notice that the only pieces of footage being shown are from the first 3 tapes in the franchise's history. Those being The Backyard Show, 3 Wishes, and A Day at the Beach. The reason being that once these tapes wrapped up, this doll would be packaged up, seemingly never seen again. The 3 tapes were originally meant to be it for Barney, but after their popularity rose, the series continued, with redesigns of the character taking place. The original costume would be brought out for certain occasions even still, but the doll itself would not. Certain ideas and inspirations would be lifted from it to create the new iterations under the new refreshed design of Barney, but there was no real reason to use this plush doll again. What's strange is that, despite this being a piece of American pop culture history, its whereabouts to this day are unknown. Props from the early seasons of Barney and Friends pop up from time to time, with the studio plush dolls existing to this day in one way or another, but the one that started everything off has been lost to time. Making matters worse, not only are there little to no images of this piece of art available, as photos taken on set for a series unsure of its future back in the late 80s would of course prove to be scarce, but Jamie Connor only created this one doll. No stunt variants, no alternate variants, no backups. What was shown on screen was the only one in existence. For all intents purposes, this was Barney. Andrew Olson, one of the most dedicated members of the Barney community, went on his own search throughout the Texas area gathering information, but at the time of recording has come up with nothing. It seemingly was last seen in a storage crate with other props from the time, including Moonkin, the alien on the moon from the Three Wishes tape in 1989 that only appeared once and never again. that storage crate might as well just been trash. Sadly, along with a lot of things from that time period, with Barney taking on a full redesign after these tapes, there wasn't much need for this original incarnation much longer. Even evident from the fact that these original 3 home videos went out of print in the early 90s after the Barney and Friends TV series took off. The Lions group wanted as little confusion as possible from the appearance of Barney in the TV series and what he used to be.
Barney has changed through time just as we all do. I wish that I looked the same today as I did 6 years ago. But no, Barney has changed somewhat in his appearance. He's gotten a little bit more purple, and we actually came up with Barney's look at the company and hired some local people to help us fabricate him. But he was very excited about his growing and changing and new looks along the way.
It's likely that Barney's original plush wasn't deemed necessary to hold on to at the time, and eventually found itself lost to time before anyone could double back. See, this is why media preservation is so important. With the prominence that Barney the Dinosaur has on our culture today, it's unfortunate that no remnants of his original incarnation have survived. The original costume being destroyed in the early 1990s, and the toy created for the kids to play make-believe not even being able to show itself in a museum of any kind. With no concrete confirmation on its destruction or certain loss, the possibility of Barney's original plush still existing somewhere on the planet is very real, albeit very slim. It's crazy to think that a design so out there, so unique and different, so outlandish when put next to what we know today, is and has only been documented through its appearance in 3 VHS tapes from over 30 years ago. These are his home, these are his proof of existence, and although lost to time, it's important we never forget Barney's roots, as they laid the foundation for not just the franchise, but a lot of our memories. If you don't remember where you came from, you'll never know where you're truly going. And as long as our imagination still persists, the original Barney will always be around, as one of the most interesting pieces of lost history in children's media.
He sure is. Thank you, Barney, where are you? There he is.
Where did they get the sand?
Oh.
What do you guys do around here when I'm not around?
Maybe a little help from...
The Barney Bag!
Boy, oh boy. Let's see what we can find.
If you don't remember the visuals, you probably remember the song in some way or another. The Barney bag is an item synonymous with the peak era of Barney and Barney aesthetics in the mid-90s. Brought in as a way to inspire kids to engage in arts and crafts, the Barney bag became a staple in the early days of the Barney and Friends series. The first time we'd see the Barney bag would actually be in the first episode of Barney and Friends from 1992, Queen of Make-Believe.
This looks like a job for...
The Barney Bag!
It literally just looked like something they picked up from JCPenney's.
Do you see anything else you need, Barney?
Oh, well, let me see here.
The Barney bag started off with the appearance of a standard bag with a purple foil design and a name tag with the Barney logo printed on. Inside the bag would be items specifically related to the situation at hand, that being whatever they wanted to build for the day. The bag after its inception wasn't the most appealing looking thing, admittedly, but the seed was planted. When season 2 would arrive that following year, the Barney bag returns with an entirely new look. This design stuck and would evolve ever so slightly from here. Now, the Barney bag would be blue with purple, yellow, and green stars and swirls. As evident, the Barney bag is much more vibrant and visibly present. Barney at the time would be emboldened by purple, yellow, green, and blue colors through its merchandise, and with this redesign, the production crew seemed to have taken great inspiration from the branding and merchandise, using all of those same colors throughout. It was here that the Lions Group, Barney's rights holders and creators, knew they had something special on their hands. With parents wanting something for their kids, as well as the bag encouraging arts and crafts, they decided on an idea to push a version for stores, to reach kids growing up with the series in hopes that they'd get involved with the activities as well, hands-on. The Barney bag would then be registered as a trademark during the second season in 1993. It would appear in the 1994 Broadway live show Barney Live in New York City, and then in 1995, it continued to be a mainstay in the third season of Barney and Friends. During the third season, Lions would release the Barney bag to stores as an official piece of merchandise. This rollout included a marketing campaign tied to the home video Making New Friends, which was the episode On the Move from season 3. The Barney bag released to stores resembled that of the actual bag from the series, but with certain liberties taken to differentiate it from the real thing. Here, the Barney bag features the same colors and similar patterns, but with a large emblem in the middle with Barney sprouting out. There's also a blue zipper at the top, rather than being always open. The zipper holds a spiral tag, allowing the owner to write their name. My personal one was actually formerly owned by Lauren King, who played Kathy in the early years of the franchise, and her name is written on the tag. Inside every Barney bag would be items such as felt, feathers, fabric, yarn, and more, as well as an activity booklet. The Barney bag had a suggested retail price of $17 and at launch would be heavily promoted alongside the Making New Friends home video, often seen in PDQ displays with each other. The Lions Group stated to have had close to 12,000 daycare centers sample the Barney bag, receiving great acclaim for its provision of artistic activities. The Barney bag is known for its continuous appearances, being the first fully original melody and song unique for the Barney and Friends TV series and, well, just the song itself every time it would appear.
Well, I've been looking in my Barney bag, and I found a lot of things. Gizmos and gadgets and odds and ends, and even some old strings.
So let's ask ourselves the question, what can we make today? With imagination and the Barney bag, we'll see what we can make today. Yeah, see what we can make today.
The Barney bag would continue to show up through seasons 4, 5, and 6 of Barney and Friends before being discontinued in 1999. It's been thought that the interest in this staple either faded or became lost in the shuffle of rights after the Barney franchise would be bought out by Hit Entertainment. Season 6 would be its final set of appearances before the trademark for the Barney bag would expire in 2003. The Barney bag is unique as it provided ways for kids to directly involve themselves not only with the home videos they loved, but the simple idea of imagination and artistic exploration. The fact that it only existed through what many consider to be the golden era of Barney only proved it to be truly a relic of its time. A perfect representation of one of Barney's strongest messages then and now, that being to never stop testing your imagination and where it can take you.
Imagination and the Barney bag, we'll see what we can make today. Yeah, see what we can make today.
Please stay tuned following this presentation for previews of other Barney home videos.
The Barney opening theme with its visuals is very stimulating and something I used to I put hyperdrive in this script. It's something I used to hyperfixate on as a child for a variety of reasons. Continuity, shots being repurposed in interesting ways, and being absolutely terrified. So I want to pick apart the ones I grew up with for no reason and talk about them. A lot.
It sounds like we're in for some big fun!
So going back to being scared. It starts from frame 1 of the intro. Something about this logo has very ominous vibes, and I've always thought that, but could never point out if it was the logo itself or as a child me knowing what Barney eventually became, which was much friendlier looking. The way it was dead silent after popping the tape in and then it faded into just a still image of this logo had me ready to run out of the room immediately. I've also never really liked the shot of Barney in this original logo because the color he is, I'd imagine, is closer to what the costume actually looked like in person. But of course, we never got to fully experience that because the cameras couldn't pick up how strong that color was, leading him to look blue instead.
Barney
Why are you blue?
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
The random children silhouettes littered throughout, not matching any of the kids in the cast, also felt weird. Now, what I did love was Barney coming to life in like 60 frames per second. That always fascinated me growing up. This shot from the intro also doesn't actually happen in the videos. It's a still photo that appears in the finale of the original trilogy of tapes that's just meant to show Barney being around in the backyard after the events of the video.
Just in time. Your mom's coming.
It's important to at least be on the...
Them using still photos in this fashion would continue to be used in interesting ways, and I love it. What I did not love was how the song was sung.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation.
What are these kids shouting so hard for? This definitely contributed to that eerie feeling I first got experiencing this growing up, because it almost sounded like they're chanting.
Barney lives with Michael and with Amy, then you'll soon see little Tina tags along with her big sister Lucy.
The Backyard Gang lyrics are very personal to the series itself, introducing every cast member individually, and even added a slide for Sandy Duncan, and she sticks out like a sore thumb, which is hilarious.
But Mom has never seen him 'cause she doesn't know our secret.
The whole push of Mom doesn't know about Barney coming to life is such a real childlike thing to have as part of the series, and its prominence just in the intro lyrics itself is heartwarming. Now, a lot of things in this original intro are going to mean absolutely nothing when Barney gets redesigned in the next few tapes, but what they did here was fun.
Barney comes to play with us whenever we may need him. Barney can be your friend too if you just make believe him.
Again, doing what I said earlier about repurposing still photos. When Barney winks at the end, the shot used is from the Backyard show tape, but with added effects thrown on top.
I love you, Barney. I love you too. You're a neat friend.
The general structure of this intro would remain throughout the next 10 or so years, establishing Barney as an imaginary friend, an interchangeable middle section, and then reinforcing Barney's importance and that he'll always be around if you pretend that he is. Now, Barney got redesigned because he was scaring the life out of children, so in response after these initial 3 tapes came out, they made 3 more tapes that made him even more scary looking, so by proxy that means we get a new intro and... man...
What?
Okay, what happened here? Something happened to the logo, but I still cannot put my finger on what. They zoomed out a bit, but his shade looks as if it were lightened some, and in some cases the shot of Barney himself looks different.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's strong, he's what we call
It's a delightful taste sensation.
Barney in this logo is not the same as what they redesigned him to be for this next set of videos. They just didn't recreate it, which will be a common thing coming up. There's actually a lot of things they just didn't do this time around. For one thing, the opening shot of Barney coming to life never happens. It's a still image just like last time, but what's weird here is we never actually see him coming to life with this redesigned costume. The effect they use here is repurposed from the original trilogy, but does not get used at any point in the new videos. I never understood that. This shot specifically is taken from the second tape of the new trilogy, Campfire Sing-Along. This new set of videos stars mostly the same cast, and the lyrics in the theme song remain the same, but in context don't make much sense with the direction the series took.
Barney lives with my
Barney seemingly no longer lives with Michael and Amy anymore in this new set. Instead, we mostly see Tina in possession of the Barney plush. Didn't change that in the opening. Or maybe the redesigned Barney and the original one are different. But then again, they reference past events with this Barney. But Michael and Amy pulled Barney out of storage in the past videos. And here he's clearly... Alright, how he show up in the chimney that one time? Okay, anyways, the whole thing about Mom having never seen him, that's still in the lyrics, despite Sandy Duncan not returning to reprise her role as Michael and Amy's mom, and us only seeing Tina's mom once, and Barney not appearing anywhere in reality to where she would have been able to see him anyways, only ever in dream sequences or them going to the North Pole from Michael's house. So since that plotline got abandoned and they couldn't use Sandy Duncan, instead, for whatever reason, they decided to use stock footage of the original Barney design in its place. What? I don't like this set of videos, so this intro doesn't do anything for me. The vocals and instrumentation were entirely redone and sounds less terrifying, but I mean, man...
Barney comes to play with us whenever we may need him. Barney can be your friend too if you just make believe him.
Now what I do like is this set of videos was the first to introduce Bob Singleton to the production, a composer who made his mark in the Barney franchise with beautiful music and different signature contributions, such as the flute you hear in this intro that becomes very prominent in the future years of the series.
Thanks.
And also the snare drum, that loud snare drum, speaking of which... Our national anthem has risen. When Barney hit TV, all mentions of any gang was dropped. The series was renamed to Barney and Friends, and we get an all-new logo. Crisp, clean. Barney is drawn so different and strange. I love it. Him in front leading a bunch of kids to the McDonald's down the street to get some chicken McNuggets, dude, it's beautiful. The animation is super cute, especially the baby at the end that pulls their little rubber duck to the beat of the song.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation.
Lyric-wise and structure-wise, the song starts the same as before, it's just everything feels like it takes so much longer. The animatic feels very long, and then the kids crowding around Barney in the beginning lasts about as long as the first verse itself. They were gaining their footing, so it's fine. A lot of the first season was like that, so it makes sense.
Barney's friends are big and small, they come from lots of places. After school they need to play and sing with happy faces.
They removed the entire bit where they introduced the main characters, the safest way allowing them to change the cast members if they ever needed. They learned that lesson the hard way when they had to re-record one of the Backyard Gang openings because one of the kids was sick. Hey yo, shout out to Jeffrey, the one-off character that nobody remembers.
Eric is in Barney's club and Jeffrey is a Barney shows us lots of things like how to play pretend, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and how to be a friend.
You can really hear that flute going to work, or whatever that instrument is. If I'm wrong about that, please don't sound off in the comments. If I say flute, you know what I mean. That flute is such an important sound from my childhood. Bob Singleton defined the early years of Barney with that flute. It's used everywhere so brilliantly. Barney's actually noticeably more absent in the season 1 intro than he would be in future seasons, and even the Backyard Gang, which I thought was interesting.
Barney comes to play with us whenever we may need him.
What a
Barney can be
wholesome
your friend
family.
too if you just make believe him.
Remember this shot right here, okay? Alright, season 2. Where the boy at? Is he coming or not? Oh shoot. So they don't start the animatic until the initial snare drum beat goes off this time, and I used to hyperfixate on that growing up for no reason at all. I used to pinpoint just what season my daycare sitter popped into the VCR based on how quickly it took for Barney and the kids to shoot out from the side of the screen.
This one has a little sweetness to it.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination.
We get that new crisp Barney plush doll, and the fact that they refilmed a new sequence for Barney coming to life unique to each new season was so refreshing. So much about these seasons aesthetic-wise were unique to themselves, so it only added to the charm. The lyrics in the middle section are the same and are made to be somewhat generic, but describing what generally would be taking place in a Barney and Friends episode, making sure to highlight the friendly nature and the series' core theme of imagination.
Like how to play pretend, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and how to be a friend.
What I really enjoyed is how both the opening and closing lyrics remained exactly the same since the Backyard Gang, as those are the most integral pieces to the franchise.
Barney comes to play with us whenever we may need him. Barney can be your friend too if you just make believe.
What?
See, this is what I mean. Why did they not change this ending shot? They clearly had a new plush by this point. We'll get into the whole tire swing thing in a little bit, but it's so jarring sometimes how they completely bypass continuity with something this different looking. Bro, season 3, dude.
What is that? What is that? Wait!
At the daycare I basically grew up at, we had lots of Barney tapes that were from seasons 1, 2, and 4, but only one of those tapes was from season 3, that being Making New Friends, the On the Move episode of the show. So the season 3 intro stood out to me as something extra special, almost one of a kind, even though it definitely wasn't.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation.
Everything felt so much more vibrant and clean. Each season up to this point revamped the set in some way, and season 3 was no exception. Everything came off bigger and grander and brought a smile to my face whenever the tape would be popped in.
Like how to play pretend, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and how to be a friend.
Also, the opening animatic was redrawn entirely and added this weird dance that to this day I've never understood, but they did it, I guess, to add some flair and an extra little something to help them hit the sound cue. Each season's intro up to this point would gradually improve when it came to using clips that fit with how the music played out, rhythm and all. Season 3, I feel, basically nailed this. It's so fresh. You also have to understand that Season 2 aired in 1993, and immediately after, a lawsuit had taken place preventing the production team from using the I Love You song. That following year, Barney took a break from television to hold a live concert show in New York City, later released on home video, and a primetime NBC special also released later. So with Season 3 coming in 1995, they had significantly more money to work with, and it shows just from the opening sequence itself.
Barney comes to play with us whenever we may need him. Barney can be your friend too if you just make believe him.
Okay, so the tire swing. I've made an entire video about this, which will be in the description, but long story short, the tire swing first appeared all the way back in Barney and the Backyard Gang at Tina's house during the Barney Goes to School tape, which was essentially a backdoor pilot to Barney and Friends. It made its way into Barney and Friends as a set piece during the first season. Barney sat in the tire just as he did in the Backyard Gang. It would spring to life from it in the opening sequence. You'd often see him sitting in it during some episodes before the kids would use their imagination, and it just acted as a simple resting place for the plush doll. How this fits into the intro is that at the end of the episode, The Treasure of Rainbow Beard, the gang opens a chest they found, revealing a rainbow, and as they view it and ask Barney his thoughts, they notice Barney reverted back to his doll form in the tire swing, with a rainbow slowly forming over his head before he winks to us. The ending shot of the first 3 seasons is a reference to this moment. Barney winking towards the camera has been a thing from the very beginning. First visualized as an actual wink, before being changed to a twinkle over his eye, possibly meant to emphasize that he's still just a plush toy and not a sentient doll. The purpose is to accentuate the fact that he's an imaginary friend and not at all real. The kids pretend he's around, which is represented by him coming to life, and after the day's adventures, they realize they'd only been playing pretend the whole time and that he's always just been a plush, but the wink is aimed more so towards the audience, almost as if to say, I was actually here the whole time, but you just used your imagination. Where this gets strange and interesting is that the tire swing shot in the intro was always vital in hitting the sound cue at the end of the song. It was basically perfect, but realistically they'd have had to recreate it after the first season, being that the set from season 2 removed the swing entirely. Realizing how important this was, they decided to keep it in. This is why the season 2 intro just reuses the same shot with the original Barney doll instead of the new one. And then in season 3, the swing is still gone, but they digitally edited a new one together with the new plush instead. You can tell because the background behind the swing is different, and you can actually see leaves moving around behind it too. It doesn't stop there though. After season 3 and before season 4, Barney released a bunch of home videos of just new separate adventures at the school and otherwise, and used the season 3 aesthetic and branding, just re-editing the middle portions of the intro with new material from the individual outings.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation.
I've always enjoyed this as it made each of these new tapes feel unique in some way, despite reusing the same branding as before. Now it gets kinda weird when the show revamps the set and Barney plush doll again before season 4 actually starts, because at that point the music and everything also sees an overhaul, but the home videos are still coming out using the old branding, including the tire shot, despite the season 4 plush doll being entirely different.
Barney comes to play with us whenever we may need him. Barney can be your friend too if you just make believe him.
Look man, I love the Barney intro. I remember growing up, sometimes I would just put in tapes just to hear the intro and then turn it off, because something about it just made me so happy inside. The music is so overjoyous. It's bright, it's colorful, all the rhythm and the clips used, and I loved everything about it. Rainbows are also really huge with me, so like anytime I see a rainbow, it just makes me really happy. And it always just reminded me of how much I love Barney.
It's BJ!
Hi, everybody.
You're lying! No, I'm not lying!
Bro, BJ used to be one of the funniest looking dudes of all time. Look man, I don't care if I get flamed, I love the early design for BJ. He's so strange.
A real police officer. Wow.
Season 2 of Barney came after a hiccup. PBS initially didn't order more episodes of Barney and Friends after its first season, leading parents to cause an outroar and prompting the show to continue production. They were very quick to point out that things would feel fresh and that there'd be a new dinosaur character to interact with.
Oh, and we'll even have a new friend for everyone to meet.
A new friend?
Oh my God, can you let me do what I need to do?
But things would be different than how they were when Baby Bop came about. Keep in mind, Baby Bop was the first time the Barney brand added another dinosaur to the roster, and she was all the way back in Barney's original series, Barney and the Backyard Gang, which is still kind of trippy to think about.
I love bubbles!
Well, here I am in my tubby again.
When she showed up, she was huge, dude. Her debut was in Barney in Concert from 1991.
What a nice fluffy sus, honey.
Which was a live show held in Texas, later released on VHS. She was dancing a little spicy, and the Lions group was like, "You're fired!" and brought in somebody else to be the body actor. But Baby Bop started off being basically the same height as Barney, which was jarring just as it was because she had that 1,000-mile stare, but also because of the fact that she was presented as, well, a baby.
Barney games! Yay!
Yay!
Oh my God! Oh, where's my blankie? Hattie took my blankie. I want my blankie back.
Like a literal 2-year-old. So like, it's like, what kind of growth spurt? This carried all the way into the first season of Barney and Friends on TV until the crew was like, guys, this doesn't make any sense, and shrunk her down accordingly to better fit her age. Now, here's where things get weird. I mean, like they weren't already, right? For season 2, they decided to add another new character, and one that would serve as a sibling to Baby Bop. You would think they'd follow the structure that they just amended and make him a similar height, but they didn't.
Look out below!
Okay. Oh.
What?
This is BJ. He's a Protoceratops. He's bright yellow with purple spots and a bright green tummy.
Like me!
He's got a red hat, little french fries on his head, and his head makes him like literally taller than Barney. What? At the start, BJ is 6 years old. So yeah, okay, it makes sense that he'd be taller than his baby sister in some way, but when he's taller than Barney, and Barney in season 1 said he was like, how old did he say he was? Like 100 million billion or something?
200 million years!
Okay, get in. You crazy? I'm not getting in.
That doesn't make sense. I really wonder how late into production BJ came about, because his introduction was not nearly as impactful and thought out as Baby Bop's. When Baby Bop debuted, they had her come out of a present on stage, dance to Mr. Knickerbocker, and literally named her after the song. And she was a key character in the first season.
And I've got my soap. Look at here.
BJ doesn't really get an introduction. Baby Bop got all that attention, and BJ's grand appearance is not being mentioned until 17 minutes into an episode, and Baby Bop going, "Look everybody, it's BJ, my brother," and he walks into frame and misses a high five from Derek. It's so funny too, because out of the 18 episodes of season 2, BJ appears in 5, with Baby Bop being in 10, and he doesn't even show up in the opening sequence, while his sister is in like 2 clips picked from the visuals.
I just love using my loud outdoor voice.
BJ's suit design here has both some interesting issues and quirks. When making the costume and performing a screen test, his shade of yellow was so bright the cameras had a fit, and he basically came off looking white instead. Which is a similar issue to what Barney suffered in the first 3 home videos, so they had to go back and correct the color before doing anything with him. His mouth operates similarly to Barney's, something they'd never do again afterwards with any other character. His head is attached to the body just like Barney's. He even has the same eye blinking mechanism installed, although it's hard to catch, and since you almost never see him jump off the ground due to his legs being solid bricks, it almost doesn't even matter. They basically just built another version of Barney. As weird as it is, I really enjoyed his nature here. He's a caring and protective older brother who doesn't know much about how things work, and even has to be taught the concept of imagination, which makes his focus episode, An Adventure in Make-Believe, so much more special.
I guess I still need a bigger imagination.
Oh no!
And you can see him using that imagination prowess in future episodes. He really starts making his own fun with it.
Oh my God!
If you have on anything green, raise your little finger.
I am green.
Okay, they have on green, and they said the magic. Come on out of the book.
Birds and animals and I see it. I did it.
Now, after season 2, they must have been like, man, this is stupid. So instead of making a new design, they took the same one and just squashed him down. This is infinitely worse than what came before it. Before, BJ looked like he had room to actually move his mouth. But now all that room is gone and his whole head has to move in order for him to speak because there's no space to do anything.
Hi, Barney. Hi, everybody.
This is disgusting. This really is. It is.
He just looks so cramped and awful. I can't stand 1994 BJ, dude. And they must not have liked it either because it was gone the moment season 3 hit in the year following. And hey, would you look at that? There he is in the opening sequence. We won, guys.
I said get out of my face!
Don't get it twisted, 1993 BJ is still my favorite design for the character, with 1995 BJ being a close second. My second favorite BJ costume, but it admittedly was not the most photogenic. He looks kind of strange.
Run into the street.
He's just so bizarre and strange looking and primitive, and I love when shows are like that, where they're trying to figure out how they want their character to look, and then the next design is like drastically different. This one had a lot of charm to it. You can tell that they really wanted something that was like kind of similar to Barney, but they weren't exactly sure how to make it work. It's the same kind of love that I have for the original Barney, how weird he is, and just the fact that he exists makes him feel special. 1993 BJ is a suit that you will never see referenced by the official brand probably ever, but it's so interesting how the future BJ costumes kind of take from that design, and even the cartoon designs that you see in the storybooks that get drawn for Barney use that same design, and sometimes even almost the height of BJ, even after he was redesigned to be shorter and have his design changed a little bit. Like, everything gets taken from that original design, and I think it deserves its flowers for being the first design for BJ and just how different it was.
See you later. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you to Austin, Autistic Disney, Chaco, Daniel, Emilia, Gwen, Ian, Jake, Luke, Manny, Matt, Meerkat, Prima Donna, Thomas, and all of my patrons for supporting the channel. God bless.